Kyodo News English World。
はい、皆さんこんにちは。こちらは共同通信英文記者のポッドキャストです。英文記者は国内外で起きている出来事について取材してオリジナルの英文記事を発信したり、日本語のニュースを英語に翻訳したりしています。共同通信の英語の記事をテーマにいろんな国から集まる仲間たちと英語と日本語を交えて楽しくディスカッションしていけたらと思っています。今日は記者3人でお届けします。私は山口祐希と申します。2021年に英文記者の部署である海外部に移動してきました。それまでは、経済記事などを主に、日本語で、書いていました。よろしくお願いいたします。
Hello everyone, my name is Toma. I've been at Kyodo News for about 5 to 6 years now. I am known as a voracious book reader, and a book I'd like to recommend today is Chai Time at Cinnamon Gardens by Shankari Chandran. よろしくお願いします。
Hi there, my name is Peter Mashita. I'm a staff writer at Kyodo News. I've worked there for about 2 years now. Thank you very much.
はい、ありがとうございます。今日はピーターさんが書いた特集記事を元にディスカッションしていけたらと思っています。ピーターさん、今日のテーマとなる記事はどういうタイトルでしょうか？
The headline is Gacha capsule toy business booms in Japan with sites set abroad.
はい、ガチャガチャが人気で、海外にも、マーケティングの、目が、向けられているという記事ですね。それでは、冒頭の部分少しピーターさん読み上げていただいてもよろしいですか？
Sure. Japan's capsule toy industry has come a long way from the corner of the supermarket, as it enjoys a new boom at home that is spurring multiple market players to set their sights on overseas expansion. It follows the industry's massive growth in the years around the pandemic, as specialized capsule toy stores have drawn in new customers from a wider demographic. The Japan Toy Association estimates the capsule toy market was worth 61 billion yen, or $379 million, in fiscal 2022, up 35.6% in 1 year and expected to climb further.
はい、どうもありがとうございます。ガチャガチャ、私も、ちっちゃい頃に、よく、やった記憶があるんですけれども、結構昔流行ったイメージがありますけれども、今、人気が、復活、してきて、海外も、視野に入れた、動きが続いているということですね。私としてはすごい小さい頃にやった思い出があって、例えばスーパーで、親と一緒に行った時とか、あとは銭湯とかで、家族で一緒に行った時とかにガチャガチャがあって、すごくせがんだ記憶があるんですけれども、今も人気っていうのは結構驚きだったんですけども、ピーターさん、これはどういう背景があるんでしょうかね。
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned the supermarket, and indeed that comes in at the start of the article there. That Japan's capsule toy industry has come a long way from the corner of the supermarket. But a lot of people who I spoke to in the capsule toy industry about its massive growth say that part of that has come about from the fact that it's no longer a corner-based industry. So, yeah, as you say, years ago you might see it in the corner of the supermarket on a street corner. Sometimes if you go to a sushi restaurant, right, you can get like a prize coin. You remember that, Tom? Have you ever done that?
I've never done it, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so that kind of child-orientated version of capsule toys has been the sort of the business's main way of making money originally. But that's changed with the advent of specialized capsule toy stores that have really expanded since the coronavirus pandemic. And part of the reason for that is that a lot of retail stores closed during the pandemic, as you might recall, because people couldn't go outside, or they could go outside, but they didn't. But capsule toys, I mean, who buys and sells the capsule toy, right? You put the money in yourself into the capsule toy dispenser, and out it comes. So there's no human-to-human element involved. So it's a very coronavirus-friendly business, as it turned out. Yeah. And that meant that lots of stores were able to expand during the pandemic and take up lots of space. Yeah, so that's the start of it. Yeah. I mean, you must have noticed some of these stores popping up recently.
そうですね。結構最近見るようになったなと思って、特に前はガチャガチャって店の外にあったりとか、駄菓子屋さんの外にあったりして、よくみんなでやってたんですけども、最近はガチャガチャだけのスペースみたいなのありますよね。すごい、ガチャガチャがめちゃくちゃ集まって、そこが一つのお店みたいになってるところとかがあって、結構変化を感じますね。
Yes. So, for example, yeah, there's lots of stores, very specialized stores that have cropped up, and they also are designed in a way which is more appealing to a general customer base. So, again, if something's in the corner, it's generally in the dark, right? But so like the chain store gacha-gacha no mori, which has really expanded since the pandemic. I mean, their first store opened in 2017, and now they've got around 100 stores all over the country. They really go in for making sure that the stores are well lit, which is more attractive to customers like women, for example. When I think of a capsule toy, the first thing that comes to mind for me is a kind of otaku style anime licensed toy or something like that, right? But turns out that the products are becoming more and more popular with women. There was a consumer survey in April by HappyNet Corp, which runs another of the gacha chains called Gacha-Coco. And their results showed that more than half of women in their 20s and 30s have bought at least one capsule toy since entering adulthood. So the age range on these toys has expanded, and the kinds of toys that you can buy have also expanded. So there's lots of cute toys. Chikawa, which is very popular in general right now, is very popular as a gacha toy. But also lots of miniaturized versions of everyday items, so washing detergents or bags of chips, or little alcohol bottles, or anything like that, or snacks. That kind of thing is very popular at the moment.
Bags of chips.
So bags of chips that you can buy in stores in Japan, like any sort of snack.
So they're made even smaller.
Oh, so they're miniaturized versions of it. I'm not saying there's chips inside.
Oh, okay.
It's like a little toy bag of chips.
Oh, I was thinking that there's actual chips inside them, and I was...
That's what I thought.
Oh, okay.
Well, to my knowledge, no. But, they're just little tiny miniaturized replica of items that you can get every day.
買いたいと思いますか?
I haven't done gacha-gacha in years, probably, to your point, since I was a kid. But, they have been cropping up a lot, and they are a lot more accessible than they were previously. And sometimes when I walk by them, I can't help myself but, stop and kind of just look at what's available to see if there's anything that I might want to do. And, sometimes when I go out with my friends will stop by and do one themselves. And there is this kind of a gamble element, I feel, to it. So it's kind of like you can't wait to see which one you get. You hope that you get the one that you want. And even if you don't, it's kind of, there's a bit of a thrill to it. And it's quite fun.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the gambling element. This isn't in the article, but the term gacha in abroad, in the English-speaking world, has also come to be used to refer to gambling mechanics in video games.
Really?
And things like that. Yeah, it's called a gacha mechanic.
Ah, makes sense.
Yeah. But I noticed when I went to some of these stores that you could see people using the torch on their smartphone to light the inside of the gacha machine to see if they could find that last one.
The one that they wanted.
Yeah. Well, because the likelihood goes down, doesn't it? The more you trying to get that one you want.
So do you just wait for other people to do it until you see the one that you want get close to...
I didn't
the
ask
entrance?
him, but yeah.
それでもいい戦略かもしれないですね。
Yeah. Well, why spend all that money if you don't know if it's going to be there? Especially these things cost generally between 300 and 500 yen a go these days. Although some companies like Bandai Namco also have put their efforts into premium gachapon. Or gashapon, I should say. So they, for example, they sell very, very detailed insects. For about 1,500 yen each in these huge gachapon. And I was told by some of the stores that I went to that those items are particularly popular with foreign tourists.
確かに。
What constitutes as premium?
Premium is a price point and a level of quality which is above the usual.
So about 1,000 yen or more?
Oh, so 1,500 yen. In the case of Bandai Namco, they have them ranging from around 800 to up to 1,500.
最近のなんか高いですね。なんか僕が子供の頃は100円だったんですけど、なんか100円のってあんまないんですかね、最近って。
No. Yeah, I feel like the minimum these days is 300 yen. And even then, I feel like there's more 500 yen ones.
Yes. One of the companies that I spoke to, called Yelko, which produces its own original gacha characters, which it sells like praying animals and things like that. It aims for the lower level, the 300 yen range. And it does that, it told me, by when they create the toys, they try and make them from as few parts as possible. So, for example, if the animal has like its arms out, they might do it in such a way that only one of its arms is stretched out and the other one might be on its chest or something. Because then you can make that as one piece of plastic. And by doing that, you can keep down the cost of these items.
なるほどな。なんかちょっと僕が子供の頃とは結構いろいろ変わってきましたね。
But I mean, they're very popular with people who are adults now, partly because they were something that you couldn't get quite as easily when you were a kid, right? You had to, your parents had to let you buy it. Right?
There's definitely a nostalgia element to it.
Yes.
I feel.
Yeah. And a lot of the makers I spoke to talked about the Kinnikuman craze, the Kinniku Kishigomu craze. Do you know about that?
多分僕よりももっと上の世代だと思うんですけど、なんかすごい流行ったのは知ってます。それでなんか多分今の人たちとかはよくなんか大人買いとかって言いますけど、なんか子供の頃に買えなかったものをなんかすごい大人の給料でいっぱい買ったりしてる人も結構ね多そうですよね、そういうのがあったら。
Yes, yeah. So it's very popular with people in this country, but also because it's become very popular here, and with the influx of tourists, there's also moves now to try and expand abroad. So, for example, again with Yelko, because they make their own properties, their own characters, they're not encumbered by licensing deals. So, for example, if I wanted to sell an anime character abroad, I would have to make sure that all of the license holders who have some stake in that character are on board before I started selling them in another country. But in the case of Yell, they can create their own characters and then sell them, and they focus on the Asian market in doing that, and that's one way. But then someone else who I spoke to who's an exporter in Dubai, he's trying to ride the wave of enthusiasm for Japanese products generally, especially in the Middle East. Again, anime is very popular. The Dragon Ball theme park is going to open at some point.
最近ね、ニュースがありましたね。
In Saudi Arabia. But he's working from Dubai to try and introduce capsule toys over there as a lucrative market. And he can sell them there for about 800 yen each. Such is the weakness of the yen and the relative purchasing power of other countries.
ドバイとかだったらもっと高くてもね。
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
Yeah. So he's starting out, as we were talking about earlier, he's actually put them in restaurants first, in the corners of restaurants. But now he's also aiming for airports, because if any of you have been to Narita Airport or anywhere like that recently, you'll know there's huge banks of capsule toys there as well. And they've been a great way of introducing them to foreign tourists, insiders say, because it's very... So, for example, you've had your wonderful holiday in Japan, you come to the airport, you've got all this cash, all this change, and you can't exchange that into dollars or whatever currency you want to change it into. But one thing you can do is stick it all in the capsule machines in the basement downstairs and find out that there's something else about Japan that you really like.
確かにいいお金の使い方かもしれない。なんかね、余っちゃったらね。
Yeah. So that's been one way that it has become more popular with inbound tourists as well. Yeah.
いや、こんなにガチャガチャの市場が拡大しているとは知りませんでした。
It's funny, yeah, it's the kind of thing, I didn't think it either, but then once someone mentioned it to me, I realized they are indeed everywhere now.
Yeah, it is very much in the past few years. Like, I feel like pre-COVID, I didn't see it as much. It's just these days you see it everywhere.
Yeah. It is a post-COVID phenomenon, and the industry is also aware that to keep growth going, at some point they're going to hit their headroom, they're going to hit the ceiling in Japan, so they have to start moving abroad to expand the business.
なるほどですね。個人的にはまあ子供の頃に遊んだものがなんかいろんなそのインバウンドの人とかで日本を訪れた人とかになんかいろいろ楽しんでもらえるとなんかね共通の体験ができたみたいでね、なんかすごいいいなというふうに思いますね。はい、ありがとうございます。そろそろ時間が来てしまったんですけれども、共同通信では、共同ニュースプラスというサイトで日本や世界で起きた出来事について英語のニュースを発信しています。今日ご紹介した記事も掲載されていますので、ぜひチェックしてみてください。それでは皆さん、
See you next time!